A very good evening to you all and welcome to Rwanda Television News with me, Sam Kalisa. President Paul Kagame says that relations between Rwanda and the Vatican have now grown to a commendable extent because of the goodwill of Pope Francis. The head of state mentioned this during this Thanksgiving mess honoring His Eminence Cardinal Antoine Kambanda, who was recently crowned to be a cardinal. Fiona Mbabazi kickstarts tonight's bulletin with this report.
The Thanksgiving Mass was held at the Kigali Arena and was attended by Catholic faithfuls and other religious groups in the country. President Paul Kagame, who joined the ceremony, said that the fact that His Eminence Cardinal Antoine Kambanda was promoted to be a cardinal, this made Rwanda proud.
This makes us proud as people, but also as a nation, without really looking at our various religious beliefs. When a Rwandan is promoted locally or internationally for their good work, we are all happy. The faith and confidence they have for him also becomes ours. So I think that will help Cardinal Kambanda to fully realize what God wants from him and what Rwandans in general see and expect from the Catholic Church.
Archbishop Marcel Madila Basanguka, president of the National Episcopal Conference in the DRC, said Rwanda's happiness was shared by the region as a whole.
Comme président de l'association des conférences épiscopales de l'Afrique centrale,
as the president of the Central African Episcopal Conference, I'm very happy because this is the first Rwandan cardinal, and always when something happens for the first time, it brings extraordinary joy. We are therefore pleased to be selected and promoted to the rank of Cardinal Antoine Kambanda and thank His Holiness the Pope for his gift to the Great Lakes region.
Cardinal Antoine Kambanda takes this position 26 years after the genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsis. I think that Archbishop Andrek Josuiz, the Apostolic Nuncio to Rwanda, says has some similarities.
The fact that Pope Francis chose a son of this country to become one of his closest advisors and collaborators, and one who suffered so much during the genocide against Tutsis in 1994, when his family was exterminated, is ample proof of his special consideration and esteem for his person, as well as his encouragement and support for the Rwandan Church and society. Together, a better common home for all Rwandans, with a long and tiring process of forgiveness and reconciliation.
His Eminence Cardinal Antoine Kambanda thanked President Paul Kagame for his message when he was ordained to be a cardinal and for the land that he gave the Catholic Church to build a cathedral in the city of Kigali.
I also thank you for your continued cooperation with the Church in our mission to continue to build the unity and brotherhood of Rwandans so that we can recover from the tragic history of divisions and genocide against the Tutsi that has left us, and we assure our partnership as a church for the betterment of Rwandans.
The head of state also reaffirmed his partnership with the Catholic Church, pointing out that both sides have chosen to look to the future.
The relationship between Rwanda and the Vatican has also taken an interesting turn, and we are also grateful that Pope Francis has continued to show a willingness to improve and correct past and future impressions. The fact that the history of Rwanda and the Church has sometimes been the result of misfortunes or difficulties and come to the detriment of the life of the country, that is not what we should prioritize. We heard what happened and we worked to ensure that that does not happen again and made steps forward in another life that builds solidarity and builds a nation that builds with its people.
On October the 25th this year, Pope Francis announced that Archbishop of Kigali Antoine Kambanda had been promoted to cardinal and that he would be officially inaugurated on the 28th of November as the first cardinal in Rwanda after 120 years of Catholicism in the country.
Now, still on this, Catholics who attended the Thanksgiving Mass in celebration of the ordination of Cardinal Antoine Kambanda say the fact that the head of state joined them at the celebration is a confirmation of unwavering partnership between the government of Rwanda and the Catholic Church in Rwanda.
My name is Nsengimana Janvier. I'm from Jali Parish. It's a great thing. I did not expect the head of state to be here. When I saw him, I was so happy because it's a huge thing. It confirms the good partnership between the country leadership and the leadership of the Catholic Church. My name is Joannette Uimana. I worship from St. Paul, Gishaga. I see this as an important thing to Christians considering the current COVID-19 pandemic situation. It gave us pleasure as Christians seeing His Excellency Paul Kagame join us in celebration of the ordination of our Cardinal. We are going to continue serving the Lord, especially as parents. We are committed to raising children that can even rise to the level of our Cardinal Kambanda.
This Sunday afternoon, President Paul Kagame participated in the 14th Extraordinary African Union Summit, during which he gave a statement alongside other heads of state and government on the topic of the AU's 50th anniversary declaration of silencing guns in Africa. The head of state commented on the agreement, stating that by 2020, the plan to silence gunfire should have been achieved, praised the work done by the African Union Commission, but indicated that the road is still long.
However, we are still very far from ending conflict in Africa. In some places, there is even backsliding. Africa's citizens, of course, are the ones who pay the price. The self-evident need to renew this program for another 10 years is an acknowledgement that we have collectively fallen short. Progress has been made in strengthening the African Union's ability to contribute meaningfully to peace and security. One example is the operationalization of the African Union Peace Fund, which has been funded by member states at the highest level since it was established in 1993, with nearly $200 million. This is a good step, but we must recognize that conflict cannot be ended by treating the symptoms or cleaning up messes after the fact. The only sustainable way to silence the guns in Africa is to deal directly and swiftly with the political and economic factors that create the conditions for violence and strife in the first place. Accomplishing this is within our power as a continent, and it must be our priority.
Now into trade and economic matters, importers say that the price of containers has risen sharply, with more than 5 million Rwandan francs added to the normal price of one container in countries such as China.
Like other sectors, the cross-border transport sector was affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Currently, there are traders in particular who are engaged in the transportation and shipping who say that they have a problem with the cost of renting and getting the containers that transport goods from China, Europe, Africa, and to ports such as Dar es Salaam and Mombasa, where Rwanda picks imported products. They say that for a container to be transported from those parts of Africa and returns back carrying nothing brings about loss to the owners, which is why they hike prices. It is a problem that shippers also believe is affecting the rise of commodity prices in the country. These days, there is shortage of containers on the international market, especially from China and other areas. This is because of the coronavirus, which affected the export sector, making containers fewer on the market. So we would like to pack people's goods from China to Rwanda. Containers are missing, and even those who own them increase prices. It is a big loss to shippers, traders, and Rwandans in general. From October onwards, the biggest problem we have is the price of containers, which has gone up abnormally. In fact, when the prices hike in transport, it affects the end customer. The capacity of buyers in our country has been low, and then the coronavirus is another big problem, in addition to the problem of expensive container prices, which is very problematic for people, and we asked the government to look at how it can make it easier for citizens. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Soraya Hakuzieremye, says they were aware of the shortage and cost of containers and held talks with various countries concerned to make it easier for importers as well as easing customs when containers arrive in Rwanda. As for the rise in prices of containers or for transportation in general, the first thing we did was to negotiate with the port-sharing countries to facilitate our traders by giving them more time to transport their goods to Rwanda. Tanzania and Kenya have agreed to this. The second thing is the ongoing dialogue with Transport Union so that we can address all challenges they face. With the COVID-19 and the lockdown, the transportation sector, especially the exporters, had not had much of an impact as borders were gradually opened. But it was in May and June that obstacles began to emerge due to delays in the process, due to existing measures to prevent the COVID-19 pandemic. Minister Soraya added that exporters are also open to receiving funds from the COVID-19 recovery funds established. We gave them access to the recovery fund, considering those who were mostly affected. Since some companies were mostly affected after the lockdown, we will continue helping them, like other sectors, to fight the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Container transporters estimate that the cost of a container from China to Kigali has now reached $12,000, about 11 million Rwandan francs, while before COVID-19 it was $7,500, about 7,350,000 Rwandan francs. This means that a $5,000 cost was added to the price of one container.
Now into environmental matters, a study by the Rwanda Environmental Management Authority, REMA, shows that the land alongside shores of lakes and rivers can be used for recreational and environmental friendly coffee cultivation, which is in contrast to the usual habitat of this land. The law stipulates that land isolated 50 meters from the lake and 10 meters from the strong levers is a public property. However, this law number 007/16.01 of the 15th of July 2010 only acknowledges the conduct of research activities and other claims. The government says it is aimed at protecting the environment. On the other hand, the Director General of REMA, Juliet Kabera, says that a study shows that some of the activities can be carried out on the shores of lakes and rivers if they are approved.
There's a study that was completed in July this year that provides information on 5 lakes. There are places where you can cultivate, but there are also places where you cannot do anything but use the land for recreation, which must be environmental friendly. It is still under study, where about 20 meters of the remaining 30 have been conserved and can be cultivated with crops like coffee. But no industrial fertilizers or pesticides can be used in this.
A 2008 study by REMA found that Rwanda has 101 lakes and 863 rivers with a length of 6,462 kilometers. Although studies on the use of land on the shores of lakes have been conducted, there are still issues related to unauthorized coastal builders, agricultural activities that affect lakes and rivers. The service sector, for the fifth time, Kadisimbi Events has presented awards to the best performing companies in the service sector. The Service Excellence Awards was presented this weekend, with 40% of the winners being voted online and 60% by the jury. The 20 companies that received awards include financial institutions, insurance companies, small and medium enterprises, and more. Kadisimbi Events Director Mugisha Emmanuel said that giving the awards and to thank the well-functioning companies that provide better services to their customers, join other institutions to prioritize better services in the country. Now, the General Assembly of COPEDU converged to celebrate the profits worth 1.4 billion Rwandan francs for the year 2019, where they also announced the plans to establish a Women Development Bank in Africa.
The General Assembly of the Microfinance noted the achievements made over the years, but lauded the fact that women established it from the time they were a cooperative to now that they are a microfinance. The mindset that was there before was that a woman could not lead, and there were some laws and policies that did not favor the woman, especially in things that included developing herself, like buying a house and many other things, which would mean writing the deed under the husband's name. Now, today, the government has given us freedom to achieve whatever we can as women. We now own houses, cars, and can participate in the building and development of the nation. During the General Assembly, the head of the Microfinance COPEDU PLC, Gashumba Lillian, explained that they have plans to expand their wings to the rest of Africa. The stakeholders of COPEDU have reached about 14 million and have seen profits worth 974 million in 2018 and 1.4 billion for the year 2019. This is something to be proud of. We hope that we can expand our wings to other countries across the continent, because all districts in our country now have a women's bank. COPEDU PLC was established in 1997 and has about 14,500 stakeholders with 11 branches across the country.
Close observers of the development of science courses in Rwanda say that in order to achieve the goal of increasing the number of students studying these courses, teachers need to be trained and facilitated to access the technology that helps them keep pace with the development. Institute of Mathematics and Science AIMS rewarded 42 teachers for their commitment to science lessons. Fiona Mbabazi continues.
Wamaria Diane and Nibahenze Emmanuel Pacific are some of the more than 3,000 teachers who attended the workshop organized by the African Institute of Mathematical Sciences, AIMS. The teachers were also among 42 excellent teachers awarded through the center because they show brilliance in following and teaching science and mathematics courses. They believe that the smartphone they received as one of the prizes, as well as the training they received during the COVID-19 period, are all going to help them further improve the quality of the science and mathematics courses that they teach. We got knowledge from the training that will help us teach our children. They as well gave us equipments like smartphones, which will help us make research. I'm really happy. I'm not very good at expressing my emotions, but I was about to even cry. AIMS management says that in order for a teacher to provide the knowledge that is at the right level of the quality of education needed, they need to be trained and encouraged because it is one of the motivations that helps them do their work with pleasure.
All teachers are valuable, but we need to clarify here that as AIMS, as African Institute for Mathematical Sciences, basically our focus is on science, is on STEM, and our program is also targeting just maths and science teachers. So that's why today the teachers that were appreciated today were maths and science teachers. And I just want to say it again to the members of the public. We are actually igniting a spark here, and we hope together we can fan it into a flame where together we continuously look for opportunity to appreciate teachers. And as you may have seen, our teachers are now stepping out, not just to inspire just the science teachers, but as we had the report from the District Director of Education, they're inspiring fellow teachers who are non-science teachers in their classrooms, and there's a sense of determination that they would like to see this also spilling over, the ripple effect going to the other 16 districts.
The Ministry of Education points out that the process of advancing science courses is still long, as laboratories helping science students are still at 26% and the number of women teaching science courses is still low. The ministry is calling on other institutions to join AIMS so that at least the number of science teachers can increase, as the Director of Science, Technology, Innovation and Research at the Ministry of Education, Dr. Fabienne Habimana, explained. The number of students who join sciences has increased to a better level. The other thing is that the number of girls increased, especially in the technology and vocational courses. It's now above 45%. As part of giving value to a teacher, it's good to encourage them, since the government cannot reward all of them. The awards include a certificate of completion of science courses training, a smartphone that will help teachers conduct research on various social networking sites, and other tools that a teacher can use to improve his or her work. 4 of those awarded are given the opportunity to be paid and further their studies in other countries.
On behalf of the entire news team that made this happen, thank you very much for being with us. My name is Sam Kalisa. Please put in mind that all the COVID-19 preventive measures are still relevant for all of us to curb the spread of this virus. And yes, together we can curb the spread of COVID-19. Till next time, have a good evening and a blessed week ahead.